assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. The Big O Radio Show is looking for partners to join our growing platform. If your business is ready to reach an audience that starts in Florida, crosses the nation while expanding internationally, this is the program that provides that vehicle. The Big O Radio Show is ready to broadcast live anywhere in the world to represent your event or product. To reach out by phone, 786-754-4664. That's 786-754-4664. Or email bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Help us grow as we provide the content and personal connection corporate entities will never achieve.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop. There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
Red Recover now offers a simple-to-use, professional-grade light therapy device designed to help your dog heal and live a healthier life. Red Recover emits red and infrared light therapy based on the same science that NASA developed, all in a soft, flexible housing pad powered by a convenient, rechargeable lithium-ion battery. Say yes to science and give your dog the care it deserves with Red Recover. Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
No, not at all. I think it's been 9 quarters, exactly right, without a touchdown. And you know, a lot of that time is there without Tyler, and we've got to be able to respond. And so, you know, we've had some close calls to touchdowns, to say the least, right? And then something happens in a sequence where we're down in the red zone, and you know, we've kind of been in a funk. You know, I don't think there's I can't hide from that. And you know, I take that, and you know, I've got to do a better job preparing these guys to respond to adversity. We've got to develop tough mindsets, tough kids, tough coaches, and that starts with us. It's got to show in great leadership. These kids have got to follow us as coaches and take on our mentality, and we've got to continue to push that and continue to push them over the hump. But it has not been pleasant lately, and we've got to score points, ultimately. When we score points, our team plays good. It drives the energy. It drives the emotions of the team, especially when your defense is on the field and they're seeing, your offense go score. And we've got to do that. We've got to find ways to score touchdowns. Well, there is a challenge. Unfortunately, the challenge is kind of there because of injuries. And so it's almost you never know until the last moment. I think we didn't find out about Tyler last week until literally probably about the day before the game. And so you can imagine what you're having to go through from a preparation standpoint of, what's good for each player. But ultimately, whatever we ask, we're going to prepare all three of the quarterbacks or try to prepare them right now, obviously, as we're going through injuries and adversity. And I think also you're seeing the same thing up front. We're down to, 6 or 7 maybe healthy, offensive linemen. And so we're having to rotate different guys in for the what if this guy goes down, who bumps over here, who bumps over there. And so we've got some challenges as we've had all year long. We've got to continue to just find solutions and answers. And while we do that, we've got to continue to instill confidence in our players. But it has been a challenge.
How did Lawrence Seymour do?
Lawrence stepped in and, obviously, he had some good moments. He had some moments, obviously, where he continued to learn from. He's a young player. You look in the interior right now, we've got 2 freshmen starting for us on the interior offensive line. And not a lot of experience from there. And guys are getting thrust into roles on the job, in the game, not necessarily in the week leading up to preparation. And so everyone's just got to prepare right now. Like I said, we're down to very few options left, and everyone has to assume that they're ready to contribute in any kind of way when the opportunity comes.
The storm is brewing. The warning flag is up. It's time to get ready for Miami Hurricanes football. Welcome to The Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show on the Sports Talk 305 Network. Live from Walk On Sports Bistro in Kendall. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shobe. When you're looking for the finest energy drink on the planet, you can only get it delivered to your home or office by going to myedgedrink.com. Use our code BIG-O and get 10% off an energy drink that's delicious, smooth, and has zero aftertaste. Here's your hosts, Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
Good afternoon, Canes fans, from beautiful Walk-Ons in Kendall, like we are every single week, getting you ready for Canes and Georgia Tech. There you go. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Listen, if you're going to watch a game, there's no better place than coming out here with us at Walk-Ons, because we all get to hang out, we get to talk, have a good time. You get a chance at winning prizes every single quarter. All right, that's the beauty. Every single quarter, all the way to the fourth quarter, we're giving away prizes out here at Walk-Ons for every single Canes game. So we've got 2 more left after this. So come on out, man, and join us. The food is amazing. If you haven't tried Walk-On's food, it is absolutely fantastic. And let me tell you, the mozzarella logs are the greatest on the planet. I mean, that thing is seasoned so beautifully. All right, I'm sure there'll be some mozzarella logs here shortly, appearing on the table. So it's good stuff there. And so we'll get you ready. Mike McCoy will be joining us. We'll have some fun. We'll also hear from Gabby Arrudia at 2 o'clock. We'll get some of the latest from Gabby, and we'll find out. You just heard from Josh Gaddis to open up the show, talking about the offense. Although you should lower it a little bit more. Lower it a little bit more. Even more. More. There. Keep going. There we go. Okay, no, but I just got to get the Bitcoin shirt in. Is what you got to do. Okay, you gotta, I got a new stylish Bitcoin shirt, and with all the FUD going on out there, I want to make sure that we straighten this thing out, that there's nothing wrong. Everything is good. Although I see Greater Good going, how do you get your money out of FTX? You listen to me. That's all you got to do, Greater Good. Aren't you here every day? Did I not tell you before it even crashed to get your money out of FTX? Before it crashed. Did I not tell you to get your money out of Voyager before it crashed? You can go back and check the videos. Old tells you to get out of FTX. FTX then hits the shit 2 days later. Old tells you to get out of Voyager. A couple days later, Voyager goes down. Why? Because I follow this. And by the way, you would have never had to take anything out. Sean, they would never have to take anything out if they did what in the first place? Cold storage wallet. You never would have to take your money out of Binance or Crypto.com or FTX or OKCoin or KuCoin or whatever exchange you use because you're not supposed to keep it on the exchanges. The exchanges are just to buy and move. And remember, as I tell you all the time, wherever you buy crypto, make sure they have a bridge to move it so you can move it to a next platform. All right? So, all right, let's do this. Let's do this. Is Joe ready? Is that it? What do we got? Ah, there we go. All right, good. So what you had to do, listen, man, most people don't follow this stuff, and they're lazy. And then they cry wolf after when they're making mistakes because they didn't do their homework. And that's really the problem. And you gotta be a lot smarter with all of this. You know what I'm saying? Big O, you ever ate a Whataburger, bro? What kind of a question is that, bro? I go to Mobile every year. And one of the rules while we're in Mobile with any of the producers that I've been with over the years, okay? Doesn't matter who it is, Brian Spector, Brandon Rodriguez, you name it, any of the guys that have been with me, one of the rules during the week is you got to stop at Whataburger. Now, also, sometimes we fly to the Senior Bowl, and a lot of times we also drive. This year I'm going to drive again to the Senior Bowl. One of the rules on our drive to the Senior Bowl is that our first stop is Tallahassee. All right? And Tallahassee, there's a Whataburger. That's the first Whataburger you run into in Florida. So we actually have that. By the way, speaking of food, you guys ever been to First Watch? You ever been to First Watch, Mike?
Have not.
It's a good place. You know how good these people are? They open at 6 and they close at 2:30.
That's beyond good. That sounds like dedicated, to say the least. Like
they only serve breakfast and lunch. Like at 2:30, they're done. They don't even open it on Sundays.
I love breakfast.
Well, you know, that breakfast there is. So I always eat lunch there a lot. I've eaten wraps and stuff like that. I used to eat at the one by QAM in Miami Gardens. I went to the one in Pembroke Pines right next to Acura yesterday. Brother, that's the best Belgian waffle I've ever tried in my entire life.
And it's called what again?
First Watch.
Have you ever heard of Another Broken Egg?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God,
it's a great place.
That place is amazing.
Well,
I think it's in Pembroke as well.
First Watch is kind of like that, you know.
Okay.
Like their food is just quality. Like it doesn't matter what you get, you're like, holy crap, everything is super fresh. But man, props to First Watch. The best Belgian waffle I've ever had in my life. I had it yesterday in Pembroke Pines at First Watch. That was good, dude.
I'm a breakfast guy. I love breakfast. I'm the type of person that if I wake up at 2:00, the first thing I gotta have is breakfast. Whether it's cereal, pan cubano, whatever the case, tostada, I gotta have breakfast first.
Yeah. Yep. Breakfast is always good, any time of the day or night.
Mm-hmm.
I would go for that. G. Denero says, I'm here at Whataburger right now. I'm going to enjoy it for both of us. There you go. You do it, baby. I love Whataburger. Have you ever had a Whataburger yet, Sean? Ha! So you're finally going to have one this year. Couple times. Because remember, the rule is Tallahassee and then in Mobile. So you'll have it twice that week. You know? On the way there, we got to have lunch. So we stop at Whataburger. That's usually where I probably put some gas, too, in the tank. Tallahassee, and then you got to go down, and then that boring-ass drive. Dude, have you ever driven through the Panhandle, Sean? Well, you're about to do it to yourself. It's boring, dude. It is so effing boring. The only thing more boring than driving through the Panhandle is driving through Texas. The 969 miles on I-10 from one end to another.
Wow.
Boring. The mountains are like miles away. So it's just desert plain and just, those things that are rolling around, those hay balls or whatever the hell they're called. What are they called? Tumbleweeds. That's it, the tumbleweeds.
The prettiest scenic road trip I've had was flying to Atlanta and then driving from Atlanta to Gatlinburg.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Smoky Mountains.
For sure.
That is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
That is awesome. Definitely. Smoky Mountains, Virginia, all those areas, North Carolina. There's a lot of beautiful areas to drive through there, man. I've been there. I've been through there. That's absolutely amazing. All right, so we heard so-called offensive coordinator Josh Gattis talk about the offense, and we will see today if they can get the offense going. Listen, it's hard to look forward to Canes football anymore because it's been so terrible, I got to admit. But I will say this. There's one thing I'm at least somewhat intrigued with today, and that's Jakari. Because I don't feel there's a future with Jake. I feel like there's transfer. There's like a sticker on his forehead that says transfer. That's what I see. And then Van Dyke, I don't even know if he'll even come back next year or whatever, but Jakari's the one that you need to find out about now. And with the whole news about Rashad, and so now you got Emory Williams still in the mix, but you need to find out about Jakari. And 100%. So now the next 3 games, you can start to see if you can develop Jakari, because obviously he is an athletic quarterback. He's not a quarterback that brings athleticism. So he's a guy that you need to develop in a project. So guess what? That's what these games are perfect for. Your season's done pretty much, so you might as well try to develop a quarterback here. And Lord knows Jake Garcia has zero future here.
Man, I want to hit on a couple of things you said. Emory Williams first. Jaden Rashada, congrats, picking your destination and all that stuff. But let's not forget, and this may not weigh much for some people out there, but Emory Williams was invited to the Elite 11 camp and finished ahead of Jaden Rashada in all or most drills. I know in the final rankings, he finished ahead of Jaden Rashada. So that's something to look forward to, right? Number 1.
So you're saying Jaden Rashada is Tate Martell, so don't worry about it.
Yet to be seen. All I know is this. I do know
How did we get fooled with that guy?
I do know this. In the 2024 matchup where Miami plays the Gators, he's going to have to learn how to target half the field because Cormani McClain's going to have the other half locked up. I know that much. The other part is this. I agree with you saying that obviously the last couple games are going to be developmental for Jakari Brown. Why not use him? I don't know. He's a starter today. I was gonna say use him in the way that Tim
like
Tebow
a wildcat.
Was used in the way that Tim Tebow was used in 08 when Chris Leak was the quarterback. But
you don't have anybody that's responsible enough like Chris Leak.
Well, how about maybe still use and throw in Jake in some type of packages for something?
No,
just to kind of throw.
No.
Just to kind of throw something off.
No. No.
No. You've seen quarterbacks line up in flanked out wide. A quarterback tosses it out to him. They act to start to run, and then there's a pass off that, kind of like what McCaffrey did in his first game with the Niners or second game with the Niners, something like that.
Mike, when your quarterback is bad, it's demoralizing for your team.
At this point, I'm reaching.
No, I know you're reaching. That's why I'm trying to tell you that when your quarterback is bad, it demoralizes your team because they feel like they have no chance. So you can't keep asking linemen to hold, defensive linemen to penetrate, linebackers to knock heads, running backs to run hard, receivers to run routes, because they all feel like it's a waste of time because we don't have the signal caller that can make a difference. So you've got to try. And you know what? I'll tell you this. Gattis, since at heart, he's a running quarterback. You know what? And Mario do with Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
He ran him as much as he threw him almost at times. So maybe with Jakari, maybe you start doing some of this kind of stuff. And this is kind of what they want to do. Ball control, run game. Maybe Jakari by running complements the run game that you do have now. There is no Henry Parrish today. So that's a loss. So all of a sudden now you've got to have, a little extra juice in the running game. And everybody knows I'm not enlightening anybody here. I'm not educating anybody here, or most people. You guys know when you have a running quarterback, it enhances your running game. So maybe this fits more what Gaddis is all about. Now it's up to Ja'Carri when his arm is in play to be accurate and to make those plays. That's the part that's going to be the unknown. But the running style of Ja'Carri's game might just be what maybe Gaddis can work with more than Garcia, because you don't really want Garcia necessarily. He can run, but it's not necessarily like he's a running right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Excuse me. Ja'Carri definitely gives Miami the best chance to win. Definitely the bigger athlete. And with the way that the O-line is set up, we don't know who's starting. We do know that Miami's working with 6 to maybe 7 offensive linemen today. And they were 4 out at one point in the game last week. So with the O-line, having to duct tape that all around, you're going to need the athleticism of Ja'Carri to make magic,
You hope.
Friend of mine, friend of mine.
Remember, he is young too. Let's not also, let's not also put unrealistic expectations on the kid too.
But you can't lean on his athleticism to improvise when the play breaks down and the pocket collapses, whatever the case is. But then, the play calling and the offense is going to have to help him out. Maybe some shorter passes, maybe, I don't know, man. We've seen Josh Gaddis try to change the offense at least twice this season. And he's mentioned it in press conferences. It may have been more than that. But, man, that's hard when you're working with second and third string offensive linemen, wide receivers that are in and out of the lineup, a quarterback that missed a week and then was cold to start the season. And then, that changed, and then he was out. And then now, look, the running back situation, call it excuses, call it whatever you want. It's the facts of the matter, right? And so Ja'Carri is going to be tasked to do a lot, but I'm not having any expectations for this offense. The only expectation I have is for them to literally suit up and get on the field, because if they came out flat last week, there's nothing that's going to make me think that they come out with fire today. I was really disappointed in the performance last week. I'm thinking that first play from scrimmage, the defensive first series of the game, Mitchell Agude comes off tackle for loss, and that's all she wrote. Miami had him on a third and third and predictable. FSU converts. Actually, no, it was a pass interference, and then they go over the top big time a couple plays after that for the first score of the game. And that was all they needed to win the game, and that was just disgusting. Homecoming night game, 7:30, everybody on the sidelines, and Miami just fell apart. Of all people, the FSU Seminoles. So if Miami can't get up for that, it's just hard for me to even predict them caring about this game, and that hurts to say big time a lot, okay? It just really does, because if at the very least you thought Mario would have these guys up, and at least beating the teams that they were supposed to beat on the schedule, and maybe struggling against the ones that were as good or better, but that hasn't been this case this year. And, expect some coaching turnover, okay? Expect some coaching turnover, who I don't know, or whatever the case is, but roster turnover as well. But I'll say this too, year 2 for Mario may not be much different than year 1. Yes, improvement, but 9-10 wins, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, no, listen. Next year, we'll worry about next year when we get there, okay? This year there's a lot of issues going on. And unfortunately, changes to the coaching staff, well, you almost got me excited there. Do you know anything about Gaddis getting fired?
I'm sorry?
You know anything about Gaddis getting fired?
I know some people that know some people, and not saying he's getting fired. Definitely haven't said that to me, but just don't be surprised. There's some, if people are looking at him or if he's looking around.
Josh, look around. Look around. Like, seriously. Like, go look around. Enjoy yourself. Go. Explore, young man. Be Columbus. Explore.
Let me ask you a question, O. What do you make of this? You want to know who's having a really good year as a defensive coordinator in the SEC?
Who's that?
Blake Baker. top 25 defense in Missouri. Dan Enos is looking very good as an offensive coordinator in Maryland. What do you make of that?
Well, listen, it all depends. Maybe you inherited, better players. Maybe you're allowed to do what you need to do as a coach. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, listen, this program has been polluted for 20 years. Nobody can get it right. It doesn't matter who it is. It's been mediocre. And so Mario inherited that, and clearly his coaching staff has done an absolutely shitty job with this roster. They have not maximized this roster, which has been a really bad look for Mario. And again, I've said 100 times, I'm not saying to fire him or anything like that, but unfortunately for Mario, these are the optics. You haven't done a good job with this team. Unfortunately, you have not In fact, Manny Diaz did a better job with the team last year, along with Rhett Lashley, than you did this year with Josh Gaddis. Those are the facts, unfortunately. It's bothersome and everything. But now Mario and his staff have kind of put themselves in a corner now, because now they have no more honeymoon. They have not. See, if they would have gotten the max out of this team, and let's say they win 7, 8, 9 games, people would have said, all right, hey, man, they did a pretty good job with this roster. Now they can build on it. Now all you did was put a whole bunch of doubt in there now. And so now next year, my brother, you can't have like a mediocre year. You've got to go out and win 8 games plus and show that you can get to a decent bowl game or something. And then, year 3 is when you got to. But next year, you can't have a setback now. Now you're screwed. So now your transfer portals better be super strong this offseason. You better clear out the talent that you don't need, okay? Because this is the kind of shit that's got to end. Here's Manny Navarro tweeting out, buzzing through the Hurricanes. Okay? Do you know why Georgia Tech put together a pin that says buzzing through the Hurricanes? Because they know they can actually do it. If it was like a real Hurricanes team that was walking in there, they would never do that, because Randall Hill and his 6-shooter would put 101 points on their ass just to thoroughly embarrass them. But because Miami doesn't have any Viagra and they're completely flaccid, they can't do any kind of damage in the bedroom. And so here we go. And this is why you've got even the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are a cocky bunch against the Miami Hurricanes. Yeah. That's pathetic.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I don't even know if that sticker would get underneath the skin of these guys. Like I said, if homecoming, against your arch rival, all right, at a primetime kickoff when you really don't deserve it, when neither team really deserves it, even though FSU's look better than Miami, okay? If you come out looking how you did against that team in that setting, then I'm expecting nothing to get you right in the head, okay? And that's just disgusting. There are very few players on this team that play like Miami Hurricanes. I mean, think about this. Let me ask you this, how many guys on this Miami Hurricane team would have started for Oregon last season? How many can you put?
Mesidor.
That's one.
Colby
Young. Okay. You can't even name 5, right?
Mallory.
Okay. Maybe TVD. Safe to say.
Parrish.
Okay. Maybe LT or Daryl Jackson.
Well, TVD definitely, unless we're talking about the guy they have now, which they didn't have that guy now, then because the guy they got now is freaking balling, dude.
Maybe Taylor.
Yeah, it's not many.
Defensively, it's not many.
Not many.
And that tells you right there and that's the difference. Everybody says, with the talent that Miami has, this and that, they should be doing a lot better. That's not 100% true, because you want to know what? Everybody forgot about the very important word called development, okay? If Miami played to their talent, they'd be a top 10 team. But guess what? Everybody else has been getting developed when Manny was here, okay? And Miami was not. So that's the difference between other schools and Miami. They got the talent, but they have not been getting developed. So those guys are still playing like they're fourth-year seniors in high school, which is good enough to win at the high school level. But that fourth-year senior experience and physicality doesn't win year one as a freshman, year two as a sophomore in college. So development has been the issue, and that's what Mario's working with. So I think people need to kind of readjust their thinking as to when they say Mario's been a failure and he is a failure and the talent this and the talent that. It's not the talent, it's the lack of development. Oh. So that's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's been bad. A lack of development, lack of chemistry. I don't think it's been a really smart usage of the team at times. No, I think on the offensive side more than anything. But, listen, Navarro mentioned this week, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about it again in the post-game show. These guys weren't recruited by Mario, a lot of them. And so a lot of them, they were used to the way things were, and now there's a lot more discipline than there was before, yes. And they may not be.
A lot of guys don't like that.
Yeah, and they may not be into this.
And that's a bunch of crap that's got to go. That's the type of crap that's got to go.
Right, and so now Mario, unfortunately, kind of put himself in that position like, okay, I don't have my guys. Well, now people are going to say, well, go get your guys and show me what you can do. And if you can't do that, you're out of here.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to end up happening. You already got people that want to fire Mario. You already have people that think he's not the guy and all that stuff. I'm not even close to being there. Now, Gaddis, I'm extremely disappointed with Gaddis. I think he's done it's one of the worst coaching jobs I've ever seen in my life, to be quite honest. That's kind of the way I look at what Josh Gaddis has done here for the University of Miami. I think it's been terrible.
Good, man. I'm sorry. You can't blame 100% the players, and you can't blame 100% the coaches. But from what I've seen, the majority and vast majority of this is on the players. Do you think their practices are green to you? All right, guys, fumble on 3, 1, 2, 3, fumble, Rooster, go. It's not the case, buddy.
Yep.
Do you think these guys are trained to wrong routes? Do you think they're trained to not? I'm sorry, but this offensive line is coached by literally the best, not one of the best offensive line mind in the country. Don't ask me, all right? Ask the peers of Alex Mirabal, Mario Cristobal, okay? And on top of that, he's a great O-line recruiter, great teacher. So it's players and coaches, but it's mostly players. I'm so sorry. Yes, execution or what they're told to do in certain situations has me scratching my heads, but I'm sorry, man. The concept between now and 20 years ago when all this crap started has been the players and a mentality.
And the coaches too. You also have the wrong people running the program. It's a combination. Because those are the people that brought those kids.
Right.
Those are the people that, it's like the bratty kid. Okay, the kid's a brat, but why is the kid a brat? Well, that's because the parents allow the kid to be a brat.
Right.
So so it goes both ways. And now it's up to Mario to prove that he's the right custodian of the program, the right recruiter, and the right developer. And that's something I talked about earlier in the week. You haven't had that in forever. And that's the problem. You got to be three things in coaching. You got to be the great recruiter, you got to be able to develop, and you've got to be a custodian of the program.
Yep.
And a lot of guys, they don't have all three. Like Dennis Erickson, he picks up a loaded team from Jimmy Johnson. Okay, the problem with Dennis Erickson was he could coach talented players, but he couldn't maintain it. So He wins 2 titles in the first 3 years, mostly with Jimmy's players. Then in year 4 and on, when his players start to take over, he starts getting his ass handed to him in all the bowl games. Why? Because he could only coach good players. He could not bring them in, maintain them, and all that kind of stuff. And that's something that Jimmy could do. He could coach, he could develop, and he could maintain the program. You know what I'm saying? Butch Davis was a hell of a recruiter. Okay? He was on a roll. Now, he couldn't coach through a paper sack. He proved that over and over again at Cleveland, at Miami, at North Carolina, where he didn't win anything. All that's, and FIU, he was kind of a joke too. He was never an X's and O's guy. But he was a hell of a defensive coordinator and a hell of a recruiter, and he got on a roll. Larry Coker could coach those players, but he could not maintain the program at a level. It is really hard to do what Kirby Smart does now, what Nick Saban has done for many, many years. It's not just getting on a roll 1 year because you stepped into a program in the right time and you got on a roll. It's maintaining that role year in and year out and bringing in the classes and maintaining the hunger and all that kind of stuff. It is an incredibly difficult job to do what Dabo Swinney has done for many, many years. Very few coaches can actually do that. And Miami has not had a lot. It's Snellenberger and Jimmy. That's it. There's nobody else that can be a custodian along with being a developer and a recruiter. Now we've got the guy that I think is a custodian. I think is a developer. I know he's a recruiter. But we have to give him a chance now. We have to give him a now. I will say I'm the first guy to tell you, they get an F for their coaching job this year. They get no breaks from me on that. Doesn't mean they get fired, but they with the players that they inherited, they showed me as a staff they were very poor at adjusting at what they have and getting the max out of what they have, which is not a good sign. But we'll see down the line.
For I forgot I was going to say. I mean, the
oh yeah,
Gaddis needs
terrible.
Yeah, well,
terrible. I'm not happy with Gaddis. It's bad coaching, bro. It's just bad coaching. Bad coaching on that.
It's just
that's why I'm intrigued with today in the next 3 weeks with this kid. That's why I'm intrigued, because this is more along his philosophy. I want to see if you got it. Gabby's ready? Gabby's ready. All right, let's do that. Let's get ready. Gabby Arrudia from 247 Sports. Hey, Rashad is out. Let's find out why Jaden is gone, and will any others follow? Let's talk to the man that has all the insight on recruiting, Gabby Arrudia, ready to join us right here on The Edge at myedgedrink.com. Miami Hurricanes pregame show live from Walk-Ons in Kendall. Gabby, how you doing, my friend?
Good. I'm probably about 10 blocks from you guys right now here in West Kendall. So maybe I should have just slid through the restaurant. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's something that just kind of slipped my mind until you mentioned that just now.
Yeah, bro, you should have come on over. Would have fed you and everything.
Right
man.
there. I'm literally right there. Like, I'm at my mother-in-law's house in West Kendall. Like, I'm on like 157th Avenue and Killian. So I'm like literally right there.
What disappointment, bro! You should have come out.
It was, yeah. No, I think maybe next road game I'll pop in and maybe I can sit down with you guys.
What do we have?
For a little bit.
Just Pittsburgh, right? Left? Is that road?
Right?
We
got Clemson next week. Clemson's on the road. On the road next weekend. So maybe next Saturday I gotta swing by and hang out with you guys.
That's right. So come on by for the Clemson game. Do we know what time the Clemson game is already?
I think it's on hold.
Gotta be early, man.
Oh,
like,
please make it a 12:30 game. Please, 12:30. Please, 12:30.
I'll tell you right now.
All right. So, Jaden Rashada, fill us in. Now, initially, this guy was a Florida kid, and then switched to Miami, and now went back to Florida. And when I heard this is what I thought. You were sexy enough to get him to flip, but unfortunately, you got old and you got out of shape. And he said, "You're not sexy there anymore. I'm going back to Florida." That's kind of what I felt like when I saw him flip-flop back and forth like that.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. So, yeah, I mean, he was never, like, publicly committed to Florida, but the thought was that's where he was going to go. Miami really, in, like, a week there over the summer months, kind of made everything happen really, really quickly, got him on board. Miami did have some momentum earlier on in the spring, but it was a really, really weird recruitment and came down to the end. I mean, I think anyone that kind of understands the current landscape of college football and recruiting probably knows what played a factor into that. But ultimately, Miami gets him on board. Florida flips him. I mean, really, he's going to end up being a Gator. It is what it is. And, it sounds like Miami's going to roll with Emory Williams, and that's the quarterback that they're going to kind of go into the future with, I guess. And, I think there's still a lot of options on the table in terms of what the future of the position looks like. I do expect Tyler Van Dyke to be back in 2023. What does that look like for Jake Garcia? Not sure. I do think Jakari Brown is definitely a part of the future plans. But, I think that what happens at quarterback at Miami, a situation that seemed so good, so, like, promising, like, a few months ago, doesn't seem, or maybe just has a bit more question marks than maybe we thought. So definitely interested to see how the quarterback situation in general plays out at Miami over the next few months.
What's up, Pops? Hope dad life is treating you well.
Yeah, hey, man, all good.
So a couple things. Number one, Emory Williams' Elite 11 performance at that camp was, if I'm not mistaken, he finished ranked ahead of Jaden Rashada. Take what you may from that. All right, it's just a camp, skeleton drills, stuff like that. But he did finish that camp ranked higher than Jaden did. So, I mean, with knowing that, okay, is it wrong for Miami fans to say, yes, you don't lose a player of that caliber and it not matter? But is there a but? We have Emory Williams attached to that as well to kind of soften the blow because he's no scrub.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you're asking people in Coral Gables, I think that they would say, you know what? We felt good about Emory Williams when we took him. I think when they took him, honestly, the thought process, the plan was to just take Emory. He had a lot of people. I mean, I've been kind of hammering this over the past few days. A lot of people in the building are pro Emory Williams. They think he has a bright future. They're excited about his developmental upside. Again, not a guy that's going to walk into a starting position or to compete, but they think, 3 years down the line when his turn kind of comes up, they feel like he's someone that could potentially lead the program. So yeah, maybe, big picture wise, I think, I don't think Miami was just kind of kicking themselves over this. Honestly, I think internally the thought process is really, if this is the only thing that happens, we can live with that. I think the main concern from Miami was the potential domino effect. Like, does Jaden Rashada leaving to Florida cause X, Y, and Z to happen? And if it doesn't, then you know what? I think that's what you have to live with in this crazy world of recruiting. That's really going to be, December is going to be silly season, man. I mean, dudes are going to be flipping left and right. We saw an absurd number of summer commitments. That's going to lead to just an epic number of flips here down the stretch before that early signing period in really late December. I mean, December 21st is the early signing period, week before Christmas. I mean, that's a long time. There's still a lot of time in recruiting time between now and then. So, I do think that Emory Williams is the guy. I think that they're really happy with what they have in him. Does Jaden Rashada sting? Optically, definitely. Big picture-wise down the road, I think that's still to be determined. We see some of these high-profile quarterbacks obviously hit a lot of the time, but we also see some flame out. I think it's always kind of a toss-up with these guys, especially in this transfer portal era, where I think at one point, I think it was 60% of blue chip quarterbacks had ended up transferring from their initial destination. So I think it's just kind of wait and see mode. The long-term impact of this flip for Miami.
Follow-up, which has two parts. Number one, if Miami maintained, their early season, I don't want to say success, but it hasn't been the late season collapse. Let's say Miami at this point has 6 wins in the season and they don't look anemic the past few weeks. Okay. Does Jaden stay, or was he always destined to kind of flip back to Florida? Number one. Number two, what are you expecting the portal from Miami quarterback wise?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first question is a very fair question. Again, I think Miami could have potentially looked good, and this could have still happened. I think the on-field performance was probably, an assisting factor in all of this. But really, I mean, Jaden Rashada is a NorCal kid. I mean, I think it was very hard for Miami to have a firm grip on that. I feel like a core of the class is kind of local, especially with these IMG guys. They're able to get them down on campus all the time. I mean, you hear Mario Cristobal talk about it. Like, we want to get these guys, bring them around the program, allow them to experience these things in person while they're around, where we can kind of manage, all that type of stuff. So maybe this happens anyways. And again, kind of going back to the state of his original recruitment, I mean, it seemed like it was going to be Florida. Miami came in very, very last minute to kind of win this thing over. What were the factors that even led to him eventually picking Miami over, when Florida was kind of trending there? It never really, again, in hindsight, with the benefit of hindsight, it never really felt like this was a commitment because, you kind of cut him open, bleed orange and green, all those cliches that, we love to toss around. It felt like this was a situational commitment where, it kind of, things were kind of lining up in a pretty way that seemed attractive. And, again, it never really felt like a heart decision, like a family decision, like some guys talk about things that way. So maybe this is one of those things that was kind of unavoidable. In terms of the transfer options, that's very interesting. Again, it might be me speculating. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both with, intel that I've been able to get. I mean, Jake Garcia is going to be going into year 3. Again, I expect, based on everything I'm gathering, Tyler Van Dyke is coming back in 2023. If year 3, Jake Garcia, if you're a quarterback, you want to be leading your own program, right? You can't keep waiting around. So I think in the mind of Jake Garcia, if you're not going to be the guy in 2023 for Miami, you need to go find a program of your own to lead. So, I mean, I don't know if he sticks around for this personally. If he leaves, I think Miami could potentially supplement this situation, considering Tyler Van Dyke's shoulder injury. Who knows how that lingers? Who knows how that recovers? I think you need to have an arm behind him that's not Jakari Brown. He should not be playing right now. This is a developmental kid who's thinking long term in his development, all those types of things. He's not ready to play right now. He's going to start on Saturday for Miami. He's not prepared for this as a quarterback. There's a long way to go. So I think if you want to go find an arm who might be okay with potentially waiting a year or so to kind of come in and be the guy and just start getting used to this Miami system, I mean, I think it might be worth exploring the options, again, just of what arms become available. It'll be interesting to see how that eventually plays out, because as we know, I'm sure plenty will become available, and it'll just be dependent on who's willing to come in and maybe sit one more year at Miami, with the potential to obviously get a chance to get on the field should things fall that way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask you about, recruiting another quarterback, because I would imagine Jake sees the writing on the wall and he's going to have to go because he's not really going to have another opportunity. Anyways, I'm sorry, Gabby, I don't see it in the kid. The way he reads defenses, or he can't, it's really disturbing. Actually, I'm actually intrigued with Jakari because Gaddis is a running guy at heart. And if you remember, Cristobal did more running with Herbert than he did passing practically. So maybe this Jakari thing might be something that they could develop down the line. I feel bad for him because he's so young and so green. But today, all right, I don't feel good about this game today. I got to tell you, Gabby, I wouldn't even pick the Canes in this game. I'd easily pick Georgia Tech. You saw Jaden fall. Will other dominoes fall? Because everybody was talking about how the class was strong, and now there's been, a crack. Will that crack get bigger if there's another disappointing performance today? What are you hearing amongst them? Because they were saying all the right things, and then all of a sudden we saw Jaden do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think over the last 24 hours, really, Miami has had to do some damage control. I mean, Tommy Kinsler is an offensive lineman who was telling Florida reporters that he was going to be in the swamp today for when Florida hosts South Carolina. You saw Francis Mauigoa kind of come out and tweet something like, I will not be in Florida this weekend. I'm all Cane. What that tells me is he was planning to be at Florida, but Miami kind of got out in front of that, kind of nipped it in the bud, right? So I do think that, again, these are the early signs of things, of guys maybe exploring their options. Maybe it's harmless and, maybe just kind of want to go see a good game. But nonetheless, these are guys taking trips to other campuses. And again, in recruiting, all this stuff matters. I mean, again, all these verbal commitments are non-binding. No matter how many tweets you send out, no matter what you say to the media, I mean, you are not there's nothing that says you have to be at Miami. So this is a wire-to-wire thing. Until pen meets paper, Miami needs to be recruiting these kids like they're not committed, and they're going to fight. They're going to have to claw and fight all the way until that December 21st. I mean, we're talking, over 5 weeks away. That's a long time when it comes to recruiting, and especially in those December months when the in-home visits, official visits start picking back up, and it really gets down to the nitty-gritty. So, yeah, I mean, I've been telling our board, hang on tight here. I mean, this is going to be a wild, wild run here to, the race to early signing period. And, yeah, I think Miami could potentially flip some other guys, but there are going to be plenty of programs trying to flip some guys committed to Miami. So we're already starting to see some examples of things kind of, again, you talk about those little cracks. Maybe there are a few. I think Miami's trying to cement those up and seal those really quickly. But I think we'll know here in the next few weeks how committed these guys truly are, because you talked about this game, I don't see it going well on Saturday. I don't see it going well at Clemson next weekend, and I don't see it going well at home against Pitt to close the year. It's tough sledding. It's an uphill battle, and it's going to be a grind.
You mean those 2 interceptions for touchdowns on the first 2 plays against Virginia today against Pittsburgh didn't instill all that confidence in the world? Wow. Yeah, no, that's and we've been talking about this throughout the week on the platform, but I was talking about it today on the pregame show. Sadly for Mario, he ruined any honeymoon, and because unfortunately, as much as I believe in Mario and I'm willing to give him a chance and all that good stuff, the one thing we all have to be honest is they get a terrible grade this year on how they handled this team. And how they handled, especially for me, Josh Gaddis, I think, did a terrible job on adjusting to the talent he inherited instead of almost square pegging in a round hole his offense to these people. And I think that hurt Tyler Van Dyke early on because you weren't playing to the quarterback's strengths until you started to spread things out a little bit more the way he likes it. And so there are a lot of things that are questionable on the coaching side. And I think I'm expecting a really ugly end. I feel bad for Mario because that staff is going to have a strong start next year, or they're going to have a lot of people on the negative side early on next year.
Yeah, they definitely need to figure this stuff out. And yeah, there's a lot of different things that I feel like people can point to. I don't know if this roster. I don't honestly. I don't think there's particularly anything wrong with Josh Gaddis's offense. I think that Miami's not necessarily built personnel wise to run exactly what it is that he wants to do. I think it's become over.
That's
right.
why
You got to adjust. Yeah, and I do think that. Again, I'm not reporting this, but I wouldn't be super surprised if there are changes, even amongst the coaching staff. I expect a mass exodus of transfers. I just think I don't know how great of a job they did initially evaluating this roster in terms of them being able to kind of play this bully ball, kind of like maulers up front. Doesn't feel like they have the personnel to kind of, eat up blocks and shut off defenders, all those different types of things that they kind of want to do. And again, I think they've had to oversimplify a lot of things because they don't necessarily have the most electric playmakers on the outside. So, yeah, I think a lot of things are going to have to change. I think they have a better understanding of this roster and who this team is moving forward. And I do think that what they do in the transfer portal is going to be to kind of build something that they can run and kind of play to the strengths of whatever it is that they want to build. I expect a completely different offseason approach, going into 2023. I think Mario Cristobal understands that, however it was evaluated in this initial year, it's got to just be different. So I expect a lot of different things to change, whether that be staff, whether that be personnel, whether that be just be the overall approach of how they're going to run their offense. And maybe, some better talent, some transfer portal additions, all these different guys will help move things along. But again, I think this program still has a long ways to go, and hopefully they can get it going sooner rather than later with, the availability of the transfer portal and how that could potentially help flip the roster over quicker.
Gabby, really quick, just, paying attention to, recruits, parents, what you're hearing around, reading tea leaves and stuff like that. What is keeping these guys, the ones that have stuck around, together? Because two things that recruits want to do coming out of high school. They want to go to a program that A, they can play at, and B, they can win at, that can help them get to the next level.
Excel, yeah.
So obviously Mario is selling them the future, okay? And parents love it. Because you've seen parents tweet about it, of these recruits. Oh my God, coach this, coach that. We love the relationship. So obviously he's selling them their future. They're buying it. And if they're sticking around for the most part, literally one decommitment when several years ago may have been 5 at this point. The fact of playing is highly attractive. And they must believe in themselves of being able to win because those are the guys going to be highly dependent on in terms of getting snaps. We know Cormani is a day one starter. We know Francis and possibly Sampson, if and when he pops, is a day one starter. Am I right or wrong? Correct me here.
Yeah. No, I think a part of all of this has just been the transparency from their end. I think maybe externally they haven't been, as doubtful about how this season was going to go as maybe they have been internally and to recruits. I don't think they were selling recruits on, 2022 is going to be this big glamorous, year where they're going to run the table or accomplish all these things. I think dating back to the summer months, I think the message to recruits, again, whether we knew that, as fans, as media members, as people on the outside of the shell of the program, we're aware of that. We had our own set of expectations. I think within themselves, there was a completely different understanding and expectation. And that's what they were relaying to the recruits. So when the recruits see this, it's not pretty, it's not fun. But again, I don't think that it's necessarily catching anybody by surprise because I think they've had these conversations. I think the parents, I think these kids understand that this was going to be a rebuild in year one. And again, I think it took Mario Cristobal 7 or 8 weeks to say that word out loud, publicly. But again, I think within those 4 walls, inside that Carol Sofer indoor practice facility and inside the HEC, I think that that's a word that they've been tossing around since very, very early on, once Mario Cristobal walked through those doors. And again, I think what they've been selling has been the future. And it sounds pretty now. But again, when you've been hearing that even before all this got going, I think it's easy to buy in. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of the kids that bought in the summer months this was what they expected. Again, maybe not to this extreme. Maybe it's been worse maybe than everyone kind of thought between injuries and how it's just hasn't really gelled and come together. But again, I don't think that this was something that's catching everyone by surprise. Like, oh, wait, but I thought you guys said that we were going to win 9 games. I thought you guys said you're going to win the Coastal, play for an ACC championship game. No, we didn't say that. Maybe others, the outside is saying that, but I don't think internally that's what was being said at all. And I think that's a big reason why all of this has been able to kind of stay kind of, tight-knit outside of this Jaden Rashada situation, which I think is an outlier amongst the rest of the core guys.
Yeah, they've never said anything like that. That's always been media or something. Mario just says they've got to work and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And by the way, I also feel bad for Mario because the cliches are going to get old really quick. And they're already getting old. And the sad part is that if you don't get the results, the cliches end up standing out. So I really feel bad for him because every press conference, bro, it's just one cliche after another. And
I don't think he likes doing the press conference things. I don't think it's his favorite time of the week. I think he'd rather just do what he's going to do. And so he just says the things that he says, and that's it. that's just how
he gives you coach speak. Yeah, he gives you the robot coach speak. All right, what do you feel about today, man? Because Gabby, I don't feel good, bro. I feel like they're going to end up losing this game, man. It's hard to ask Jakari, to carry this team when that's kind of what they need. They don't have an offensive line that can maul people up front. They don't have a running game that can dominate. They don't have dominating receivers that all you have to do is just facilitate. No, the guy that's pulling the trigger in this offense has to be a difference maker because everything around him is so unstable. So that's really hard to ask Jakari to do a lot in this game. So your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I do not think Miami's going to win this game. I think the over-under is like 43.5 or something like that. I mean, you
44.
guys might have better at 44. I mean, I'm smashing that under. I mean, I don't think that this is going to be a high-scoring game at all. I think Georgia Tech and Virginia had like a 16-9 game earlier this year. Obviously, Miami and Virginia had that 14-12 overtime game. I mean, I could see this being another just really grueling game to watch, a game I'm not going to want to watch over again. Still haven't watched back that Miami-Virginia game. Won't do it ever in my life. I could see this being like I think I predicted like 17-10 Miami losing this game. I mean, I could just see it just being an offensive, just really sluggish offensively. I mean, you'd think you'd call that a defensive, matchup or a defensive bout. I think it's just going to be two sluggish offenses, that are just kind of playing for 4 quarters. One's going to have to come out on top. I think it's going to be Georgia Tech. They're playing pretty motivated under Brett and Key.
There you go. Gabby Arrudia, by the way, from 247 Sports or 24/7 Sports. Gabby, what are you working on so folks can check you out and follow you on Twitter, my man?
Yeah, we're always working on a lot. Again, a lot of recruiting stuff here, talent acquisition stuff. So transfer portal, departures, high school recruiting here down the stretch. I'll have many sleepless nights here before the early signing period, working really hard to have everyone up to date on what's going on around the program from that standpoint. So, definitely check us out over at InsideU.com. Through the Smoke podcast is my personal one that we do with the network. So, that's a great way to stay plugged in.
There you go. He's not sleeping because he's on the beat and he's a new dad.
And I had a baby, yeah. So I'm not sleeping very much these days.
Yeah. Follow him on Twitter at Gabby Arrudia 247. Gabby, as always, appreciate you. We'll catch you on Tuesday night on the Miami Hurricanes Watch. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. There you go. Gabby Arrudia, baby, from 247 Sports. Appreciate him immensely. Think about this, bro. They've got 4 wins: Bethune-Cookman, Southern Miss, Virginia, and Virginia Tech.
Oh man, and if you really want to look at it, like
the 4 worst teams on your schedule are the 4 teams you beat.
4 wins, and Southern Miss and Bethune are like preseason games,
right?
So you quote unquote quality wins: Virginia Tech and Virginia. We swept the state of Virginia.
Used to be. Not anymore. Virginia Tech used to be a quality win. It's not a quality win. Virginia's a quality basketball win, never been a quality football win. Okay, that's a win that you're just supposed to, like, you know, it's with ease.
Who was it? Who was it a couple of weeks ago that said we're the best team in Virginia?
Yeah, somebody said that. Somebody said that. I don't know who it was, but yeah, that's probably true.
Lenoris Murray, you're 100% wrong, sir. I'm sorry. This is not Mario's mess. He did not
Adam Lichtenstein
pick all of this stuff up, okay? I don't know where you've been for the past several years, okay? He recruited a handful of guys on this roster to Oregon, okay? He did not have a chance to develop them, okay? You're blaming Manny's problems, okay? Maybe Mark's problems on Manny. I'm sorry, on Mario. We're 1,000% wrong, sir. Anybody that says that this is all Mario's fault is got to wake up and smell the
shitty season falls on Mario.
It does, but all of this,
the players. No.
Wake up and smell the Folgers, Mr. Lenoris.
No, but he's done a bad job. By the way, Duke leading Virginia Tech to start the fourth quarter 17-7, and Pitt leading Virginia 31-7. The two teams that are the quality wins, for the Miami Hurricanes. Crazy stuff. We are at walk-ons. We got 1 hour down. We got one more to go. We will take it till 3:30. We will get you ready for a little Georgia Tech. Come on out here and join us, man. We're right off of 162nd and Kendall Drive. So if you're coming out from the north, you can come through the west and Chrome Avenue and come on down, or you can get off right on the turnpike on Kendall Drive and go west about 10 minutes, and you're here. And we'll be out here all day for all 4 quarters, and we'll be giving out prizes every quarter. So come on out and join us out here at Walk-Ons. The food is amazing. The service is second to none. All right, the ladies and the guys out here do a fantastic job. They really are, service is hard to find nowadays. Here at Walk-Ons, they do a fantastic job. The bar is ginormous. We've got TVs everywhere. Giant, beautiful TVs everywhere. All right, so come on out here, man. Join us. Plus, we'll be giving away all kinds of prizes. So look forward to it. Let's take a quick break. Give us 2 minutes here to recharge, and we'll start hour number 2 of the MyEdgeDrink.com Miami Hurricanes pregame show. And remember, the finest energy drink on the planet is Edge Energy Drink. Go to MyEdgeDrink.com. Use our code Big O. You'll get 10% off, so you can try the finest energy drink on the planet. It is delicious, smooth, and has zero aftertaste. Are you listening to me? Delicious, smooth, and zero aftertaste. Edge Energy Drink. Let's take a break. Back with more right here on on the Hurricanes pregame show on the Sports Talk 305 Network.
You're listening to Miami Hurricanes coverage live from Walk-On Sports Bistro in Kendall on the Sports Talk 305 Network. This is the MyEdgeDrink.com Miami Hurricanes pregame show with Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red, an infrared light, has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Evolve your training and step into the new era of muscle recovery. Red Recover.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The Big O Radio Show is looking for partners to join our growing platform. If your business is ready to reach an audience that starts in Florida, crosses the nation while expanding internationally, this is the program that provides that vehicle. The Big O Radio Show is ready to broadcast live anywhere in the world to represent your event or product. To reach out by phone, 786-754-4664. That's 786-754-4664. Or email bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Help us grow as we provide the content and personal connection corporate entities will never achieve.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Red, an infrared light, has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Red Recover can maximize your efforts by potentially improving cellular metabolism, blood circulation, and muscle recovery. Evolve your training and step into the new era of muscle recovery. Red Recover.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. You're locked into the only platform truly dedicated to South Florida sports. This is the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show, live from Walk On Sports Bistro in Kendall on the SportsTalk305 Network. Here's your hosts, Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
All right, we back, baby. Hour number 2 of the program, live from beautiful Walk-Ons in Kendall, where the food is absolutely amazing. All right, so no Henry Parrish today, as expected. No Tyler Van Dyke. Georgia Tech is favored by 1.5. The over and under is 44. Miami is plus 105 on the money line, and Georgia Tech is minus 125 on the money line. Miami, believe it or not, is actually 2-1 on the road. Now, the problem is we're talking about Virginia and Virginia Tech as your road wins. So it's not like they're really impressive, road wins this year overall. It's good to win on the road either way, especially for the Canes. Any win for them is good. But, when you hear 2-1 on the road, it sounds good, but it's not necessarily the most impressive thing in the world. This is going to be tough, Mike.
No, listen again, and I think the part that makes it tough is their mental going into the game, especially how you just didn't show up last week. I can't get over that. That's not what a Miami Hurricanes team is made of, and these guys are just far from mentally, far from resembling even what a Miami Hurricane is playing like, and that's the disheartening part. But back to today and back to the game in what's going to kick off in an hour. Georgia Tech averages 17. They don't even average 20 points a game, They don't even average 20 points a game.
Gabby had it right about the under 44 here.
Yeah.
That is something that you would like in this game.
Something tells me that they're gonna not only surpass their season average on points, which again is I think 17. I'll tell you right now, they average 20. No, here it is. I'm sorry, 17.4. Not even 17 and a half points per game. Something tells me that Miami's defense plays good enough, okay, to keep them under, I don't know, 30-something points. But this offense is going to keep that defense on the field, I think, for a very long time. And I don't know about the offense's ability to move the ball. So I don't have any expectations, because that way I don't have any disappointments. All I know is that I don't have much faith in them, even making a bowl this season. Is the opportunity still there? Yeah, they can win 2 or 3. Is it going to happen? Probably unlikely. And like I said, with a true freshman going in, or like you said, a true freshman going in on the road, making his first start on the road, just like Jake did a few weeks ago at Virginia, okay? And your leading rusher not in the game. By the way, there's rumblings of Don Chaney taking some warm-up snaps. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I don't know what his status is going into the game, but he did travel, and I think he was warming up. I think we saw a tweet from, it was either Manny or somebody that tweeted that. But listen, we could definitely use him, and for Miami to at least remain in this game, it's gonna have to include long extended drives, depending on Jakari's feet. Okay, and at this point, since the O-line is not looking great with 5, why not bring in an extra lineman? And having an unbalanced line, because you're probably not going to win the game throwing the ball. So outman, the defensive front. The defensive front on one side, okay? And just bash them. Miami's literally playing, get this, guys, okay? And for those of you that's saying that, coaching has done a terrible job this year, which is halfway true. 6 to 7 offensive linemen you are playing with today. 4 of those starters are out. Tell me what you can do with that. Tell me what the Heat could have done without LeBron and Wade and Bosh. What would they have done? What are the Patriots looking like without Brady right now? It's tough to win like that. Call it what you want, Mr. Murray. But you play football, but here's
the only thing about that statement right there that you just said. The only problem is we're not talking ever about a great offensive line. The Canes haven't had a great offensive line in years.
Right.
So the guys you're missing, it's not like guys that were out there, and I get what you're saying, because now you're replacing them with younger guys and inexperienced guys. But in the end, you weren't really missing great offensive linemen. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where, it's just, I don't know, man.
It has you not even wanting to talk about it. I get it.
Yeah. It's just, I understand. I don't even know how this thing gets any better. I have very little hope for.
You tear it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no doubt. But unfortunately, we got 3 more games to play.
Yeah. No, listen.
And so there's 3 more games to watch. There's 3 more games to talk about.
You want to know what this is? This is Mike Norvell, year 1. And look what he's looking like. What is his year 3?
Yeah. This
okay.
Is
and he lost to Jacksonville State at home.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that roster is still deficient of what it takes to even win their division. And they're on the Atlantic side of the ACC. Florida State's far away, and Miami's far away from Florida State. So, I mean, look at it. Here we are comparing, arch rivals, which I just puked in my mouth. But look what Norvell had to do to get to where they're at. And they're still light years away from where they need to be. This is what has to happen here. Period. These guys are not used to getting coached up. They're not used to getting the discipline. Remember, these are players. These are players that are used to getting treatment from a player's coach. And now a disciplinarian comes in and they don't like it. This program cannot afford a coach to be the nice guy. Okay. Said it earlier. Look at the coaches that were successful here. Butch was successful. Jimmy was successful. They were disciplinarians. Howard was successful. This program cannot afford ever in their history a player's coach. Dennis Erickson won because of somebody else, but then once everything goes under his control, look what happened.
It was a disaster.
Right? So a hell of a point by but that's what this program needs. They need disciplinary. And guess
Coker
what? The parents
too?
like it.
Coker too.
Yes.
It started off well, and then it ran out of gas because
we saw that.
Coker's not that kind of guy. You know what I mean? So they got. And listen, and I saw where Lamore says, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this shit has got to get fixed. We need development on this team. It's just not going to happen this year. It's just not going to happen. You've already seen 8 games. So let's not expect 9, 10, and 11 to change. You see what you. This is why I'm not even picking them today. I can't pick them today. You know, I had some fun last week because I thought maybe Tyler was going to play, and stupid me thought he could be healthy enough to play, and obviously he wasn't even healthy enough to play. So they had no shot. I felt, and I said that before the game.
You did.
Tyler was the only way they had at least an inkling. Without Tyler, they had simply no shot. And so I don't expect much more from this team from here on out. So when it comes to development, I'm just hoping that maybe Jakari can get something out of these next 3 games. That's kind of what I'm hoping for right now, to see if maybe you could develop something, because he's probably going to go back to being a backup next year. If Tyler comes back, he'll be the starter next year. And then you'll probably go recruit at least another experienced quarterback, so you don't put Jakari in that position. And then you're going to have, you know, the other recruits in there, so you'll have a room with 4 guys. So you'll be all right at that spot.
Oh, let me ask you a question. Are you of the belief that if you have 2 QBs, you have none? Because I don't necessarily believe that. And let me tell you why.
Just because of the Florida thing, that's not normal.
But what happens if you have 2 guys that are specifically used in their roles? Like, if this guy's coming in, you know it's going to be a run. Defense knows it's going to be a run, but he could sling in if the opportunity presents itself and the defense just gives himself away and they're going to bite because they think he's going to run.
I'm not a fan of that, because when you're playing 2 quarterbacks, that means you have one that can't do both. And that's the problem. You're using one that's an athlete, one that's a passer. So now you're telling your defense basically what you're doing. But if you had a quarterback that could run and pass, you would just use him and keep the team off balance. And then the other thing I don't like is different quarterbacks, different cadence. Different cadence, everybody reacts differently. The ball's thrown differently. So you go from one guy to another. One guy throws it harder than the other. One guy puts more spin than the other. You know, then everybody's got to adjust from one quarterback to another, from cadence to throwing the ball to how you handle the huddle, everything. All these things change. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan of continuity in football, and especially with your quarterback position. I get it. Florida made it perfectly work with those 2 guys, but think about it. How many people make it work? Not a lot, because it's so hard to do, and it's just a weird
because remember, in their situation, it wasn't just you had Chris Leak, the passer, and Tim Tebow, the sledgehammer. Chris Leak was on the way out. It was his 5th year. He was done. So Tebow had no choice but to start getting exposed to the offense, because it was literally going to be his the next season. So maybe that's the case next year, because TVD, ideally, it would be his last season. And Jakar, you're still kind of warming him up because Emery's not going to be ready. And I'm assuming that Jake is not going to be on board. And then you're getting a transfer portal quarterback to be a transfer portal quarterback.
Yeah, so Jake will be at Troy State.
Say again?
Jake will be at Troy. No, not Troy State's too good. Jake will be at Southeast Missouri Valley.
Oh, God. Call me crazy, but I see him staying in the Power 5 conference.
No.
Yeah?
You think? Well, yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt or something. Yeah, I can see something. Yeah, you're right. I can see something like a Georgia Tech getting him, or
I remember he's a California kid, so let's just say he wants to go back home. How many teams in the Pac-12 can use a quality? Maybe not say quality,
UC Santa Barbara can use him. Pepperdine. I'm with you. There's some schools there. Yeah, you're on it. I think so.
Oh God.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Have you ever been to that campus?
You've been there,
bro? Pepperdine.
What part of Cali? South Cali, North Cali?
It's in the Pacific, but it's right on the damn coast.
Oh wow!
So while you're practicing on the field, you're looking at the freaking Pacific Ocean.
I wouldn't be able to play there.
Pepperdine is like right on the water, bro.
Pepperdine? Is that a private school? It's got to be.
You know what? I think it is actually a private school.
Pepperdine. It's in Los Angeles County, so it's in LA. I had no idea.
Yeah, but it's like right on the Pacific, dude.
Wow.
It's gorgeous.
Wow.
It's really cool. Jakari taking first team snaps. Okay. I mean, yeah, Jake Garcia. Okay. Jesus. I mean, Jake Garcia, listen, I think Jake Garcia today, if he handles the Gatorade right, I think that'll be good for the team. You know, if he's out there making sure everybody's hydrated, I think that'll be a positive for Jake Garcia. You know, that's all he's got to do. You know, make sure everybody's got Gatorade and we're all good. Manny Navarro tweets out, Miami last started a true freshman at quarterback when Brad Kaya was here in 2014. Jakari Brown, 4-star in the class of 22 from Valdosta, Georgia, has taken pregame snaps for the first-team center, Ja'Kai Clark, at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Yeah, Valdosta. You know where Valdosta is? It's like right, isn't that right on the border of Georgia and Florida?
Yep.
Yeah, there's an amusement park in Valdosta. Savannah's there
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say there's an amusement park in Valdosta. I don't know what the hell the name is, but it's not Six Flags. No, Six Flags Over Georgia is actually in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So it's way up north. But Valdosta has an amusement park. I don't know. Look it up there. But there is an amusement park in Valdosta. I know that.
So, let me ask you. Let's just get into a little bit of let's try to have some fun when this pregame show.
I thought we're gonna have some fun by talking about the amusement park. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let's see if you're Georgia Tech.
What? Wild Adventures.
That's right. I've heard of it.
Oh, it's temporarily closed.
So if you're Georgia Tech,
the storm just went by. That's what it is. Yeah.
Oh, if you're Georgia Tech, how are you approaching this game offensively? How do you want to try attack Miami? Because you look at Georgia Tech and how they operate, they have 3 players on their lineup that have rushed for over 300 yards. Jeff Sims being one of them, their starting quarterback, just over 300 yards on the ground so far this year. Good for 3rd on the team. Dante Smith, 343, averaging very, very, very close to 6 yards per pop. And then Hassan Hall, their leading rusher with 458 yards on the season, is averaging 4.9 yards per carry, okay? How are you attacking this offense, especially knowing that Jeff Sims has only thrown for 1,100 yards throughout the season?
Well, you mean Georgia Tech runs the ball a lot?
I'm kind of saying that, yes. Now, remember, Miami has a pretty decent defensive line, so how are you going to tackle? You're Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I still freak out that Demarius Thomas and
right,
and who's the other guy?
Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson came from there. So stupid. They run the ball like crazy, and they got 2 receivers that average like 25 yards a catch. Hey,
that's the power of the triple option. You suck them in, and you have a freak at receiver. You know, Calvin Johnson had like almost 7-foot wingspan. He ran a sub 4.4, 140, and hands like glue. And that guy is a Hall of Fame talent. What you think his numbers are good enough to make it to the Hall of Fame?
Who's?
Calvin Johnson?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Now, I know he left a little early, but, I mean, if you're going to put Gale Sayers in there and some of the other guys that have shorter careers, and you should put Calvin Johnson in there. See, my problem with playing the X's and O's game, there's not enough consistency from Miami in any area of the football.
There isn't. You're right.
For me to count on, well, hey, listen, all right, this is what I would do. I would shut down the run and then force them to pass. But the problem is Miami doesn't have a secondary that can shut people down. And then also they get run on too. They're not consistent in that area also. So that's my problem with this whole mess now for the next couple of weeks here. You can no longer, like tomorrow I'm going to be able to talk some X's and O's. Dolphins
because you know
and
what
Browns,
to expect.
Right, I know what to expect. I know exactly what the Dolphin offense is going to do. I know what Jabroni Brissett is all about, and I know Cleveland's going to run the hell out of the ball.
Right.
So, and I know Miami's actually been very good against running backs. They were number 5 in the NFL against the rush until they ran into some guy named Justin Fields last week. But that's different. Lamar and Justin have hurt them. Mm-hmm. Running backs have not. But see, that I can live off of that. I can tell you, hey, right. The Dolphins have shut down running backs week in and week out. Their issue is their secondary right now because they have all those injuries. So Jabroni might be able to take advantage a little bit of that. You know what I mean? So I have X's and O's that I can actually play with. On the University of Miami side, my brother, there's nothing I can hang my hat on that I can count on for the Miami Hurricanes, except that your kicker's probably going to hit all his field goals.
You're right, because this is a classic case of a team that's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And the most disappointing thing, other than the mental that they did not come out with last week, is how bad the defensive line looked against a very, very, very average FSU offensive line. They mauled Miami. Now, I did go back and watch the game a bunch of times, and then I did go watch some reviews.
You watched it a bunch of times?
I did.
What are you, masochistic?
Because I had to see how the hell it happened.
What do you have, some dungeon in your house with your wife with whips and chains and an Iron Maiden or something? What is wrong with you?
I must say it was the condensed version. I didn't know.
I wouldn't want to watch one low light of that game.
So one thing, at first glance, when you watch that game last week, you say, "Oh my God, the defensive line got ate up." Guess what? The D-line did exactly what they were supposed to do last week. The linebackers behind them did not. You go watch that game and watch the way that the defense was leaning and how they were attacking the gaps and where they were attacking their gaps and what they were supposed to do. Those linebackers, they didn't do a great job. And then, of course, the first score of the game, where I was really disappointed in Al Blades, because I've been rooting for him his entire career. The eye discipline for the safeties, that was terrible, because he knows that DJ Ivey, for anybody that knows anything about anything, as much as people like to rag on him, that first score was not on him. And if you think it was, you don't know what you're watching. So just go watch badminton today or something. That first score was not on DJ Ivey. It was 100% on Al Blades, because he wasn't where he was supposed to be. Go watch it again if you dare.
But either way, that's the problem with that team. Somebody's going to screw it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And by the way, Leon Fresco, thank you for the love on the Super Chat. Remember, you can always make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. And by the way, we don't mind if you donate on Cash App a little Bitcoin there. We love that. Leon Fresco says, if Canes lose big today, Ruiz should demand his money back.
Wait. He said, if the what now? I missed it. If the Canes what?
If the Canes lose big today, Ruiz should demand his money back. That's good. I like that. That's funny.
Oh, man, Ruiz.
That's funny.
I mean, look, he's got a lot of it to burn, so it probably might not make a dent in his pocket after all. Isn't all this stuff like tax? What is it? A tax write-off for him anyway?
I don't know how much of it, but it is an expense. I'm not an accountant. I'd have to call my friends at KSDT CPA to explain to me exactly how much he can write off. But I'm sure you're right to some extent that he's able to write, a lot of that stuff off.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no doubt about it.
So, I mean, expect that from GT's offense, guys, in the chat, and those of you listening, maybe in the car that you can't be watching. Georgia Tech likes to run the ball. Again, Jeff Sims, 1,100 yards on the season passing, all right? And Georgia Tech has played, 9 games? So they have 3 guys over 300. One of them close to 500. But only one of their runners, let me pull it up right here. Only one of their runners has actually scored on the ground, and that is Hassan Hall, who has 4 touchdowns on the year. Hassan Hall has, Dante Smith, 4 touchdowns on the year. That's the running back with less carries. He only has 60 carries on the year. So look out for him, Dante Smith, especially in the red zone. His long is of 51. Hassan Hall's long is of 63. So Miami's run defense is going to get tested, and guess what? Much like FSU, who ran the counter 32 times last week. Did you know that, Big O? They ran the same play, whether it left side or right side. It's still a counter. FSU ran that damn counter 32 times last week. And if you go back and listen to Kevin Steele, which, by the way, I don't have a gripe against, which a lot of you may. Okay, again, these coaches didn't forget to coach. And I trust their resumes over these players who have no resume. All right.
I don't trust Gaddis.
Well, yeah. We're talking about Steele, though. He said that they tried slants, they tried stunts, they tried dives, and they tried everything, and none of it worked. So when you're a coach and you're trying to, as a fan, you're saying, change it up. He did. He did several times. So, again, it's just what can go wrong will go wrong. That's been kind of the case for Miami. So, again, just hope that and pray that Miami can man up and has, what to at least show up on the ground game, because at that point, you have the entire playbook at your disposal if you're Georgia Tech and you're chunk gaining 4 to 5 yards on the ground. You either could keep it that way and just make Miami die a slow death, or every now and then if you want to pop one through the air. Remember, FSU only attempted 16 passes last week. If they attempted 10 passes last week, they would have hit the 50-point mark. I'm 100% convinced of that. They decided to take it slow or easy on Miami and not have a repeat performance or a payback performance of 2020. Miami scored 52 points on them, but they very well could have scored 50 if they decided to run the ball 10 more times.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, it's just this is a situation where you're just hoping that they can put together one hell of a performance. Thank you for coming. YouTube, 10 a.m. every day. And tomorrow 11 a.m. for the Dolphins. Thank you. Thank you for coming by. We run into people every week here that we come, like that gentleman there had no idea that we were here every week. Because it's a new form of it's a new, the platform, the way things are done now. Yeah. It's not a radio. So, that's an older gentleman. So he's used to radios.
Right.
YouTube. And
I have a question for you, kind of off topic.
It's like an adjustment for these older people, like myself or older. People myself really aren't tech savvy, bro. They're just not. They're not.
I mean, it's kind of like you don't have a choice but to learn and learn how to do it, because eventually that's all that's going to be around. A certain
but it trips old people out. It trips old people out.
Yeah, no, I get it. It does. But let me ask you a question, because because you've been on both sides. No, I get it, but
do they know that over there?
This is the question. Check me out. Everybody says that if you are on radio, like not everybody can be on radio, but everybody can be on podcast. Do you 100% agree with that?
I guess so. That's true, because they got to hire you. What
happens if you have a podcaster that's talented and he just needs to learn the nuances of how to do radio stuff, but the skill and the talent is there?
Yeah, and I would also say, because I've been at this for 33 years, right, there's a shit ton of people that are working at radio stations, and they bring no juice.
Oh, man.
No juice. They break no stories. They don't have a following. They have no bunch of live spots. No. So when you see a show that does no live spots, when you see a host that can't break any stories and give you any insight on the team, when you see a host that can't have a following, then what's he doing for that station? See, that's the problem in that conversation. They need a radio person to be in that conversation to kind of tell them, and how many of you actually can produce? Oof. So can you go on a podcast on your own and actually travel around the country? Have 16 insiders. Can you do that? Yeah. Can you do it? Because any jackass can open up a podcast. That's what I would tell them. Yeah, anybody can have a podcast, but can you have a podcast that actually has a following? Can you have a podcast that actually has sponsors? That's the thing. Can you have a podcast that when our insider is walking on the streets of Detroit, he runs into the show being on there? So that's the problem, is that you have the guy in the radio station that owns or whatever manager going, well, anybody can be in a podcast. Yeah, I get that, dude. Anybody can be in a podcast, but can you be in a podcast that actually reaches people? So I put it this way. Our podcast has more effect on local sports than anything they do at QAM. Any goddamn show on QAM. And I love those guys. Okay? But any show. We reach more people. We have way more downloads than they do. I think Hawk and Crowder talked about 2 million downloads for the year.
That's insane.
That's great.
That is insane.
That's right. We're over 20.
Wow.
So who needs to be on a radio station? I don't need the antenna. I don't need the FCC. I don't need the building. I don't need the insurance costs. I don't need the overhead. And guess what? We don't need to have 30 minutes of commercials in an hour.
Do you think they're the same? Because
no, they're not even. It's not even close anymore. People are moving to this form because do we break for a half hour of commercials every hour? No. It's 2 or 3 minutes. That's it. It's over.
Right.
They get content constantly. Our commercials are right now being played on walk-ons. You see it there? That's our commercial.
Yeah.
You know, we're at walk-ons. And by the way, this is Susan Miller-Degnan just tweeted out a picture of a packed house for Georgia Tech and Miami. Check that out, bro.
In case you feel right at home.
Friends and family are there at the stadium today at what is it, Bobby Dodd?
Bobby Dodd Stadium, yes.
Bobby Dodd Stadium. There we go. Friends and family right there at Georgia Tech. So
Miami should feel right at home.
You know? So to me, that whole thing, the problem with radio is it's dying. And people like you and younger, they're not going back to radio anymore.
Let me ask you this.
It's that older guy that just walked by
Yeah.
that still listens to radio because that's what he knows.
Right.
Because he's not used to podcast, because that's what most people are doing. Most people now get in their cars and they're listening to their favorite podcast, music, entertainment, politics, sex, mechanics, art, whatever the hell your podcast turns you on, bro. That's what you're listening to. And why? Because that podcaster is going to be talking for a straight 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70 minutes. And there's going to be barely any commercials. And you love that.
And let me ask you this, though. What day about the radio shows that are recorded and then put on a podcast later?
I have no idea. I have no problem with that. That's great.
Because, I mean, do you consider that still radio? Because
yeah. It's radio and then it gets podcasted. We're not a podcast. We're a YouTube live show.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
We're not. It gets podcasted.
Right.
Podcasting is when you pre-record it
exactly
and dress it up and all that. I don't do that shit.
No,
I
you're
like
live.
live.
You have a live show.
I like live, spontaneous.
Yeah, because then
I like to ad lib. I like to come up with things. I love the mistakes because they're going to happen. I want the rawness of it because then you appreciate it because it shows you we're just as human as everybody else. But if I dress it up to make it all perfect.
And I think that's the biggest difference between the two also is that, and not talking about a live show because that's what you do, but between podcast and radio, there's no immediacy with podcasts. Like you can't talk about breaking news on a podcast because it's pre-recorded, right? You have a chance to react to it and then talk about it the next day.
I mean, again, Chubb gets traded. We go right onto YouTube right away. We talk about it, boom, and it goes off.
Okay.
So, we get, because we have a platform, because we're blessed with, we're up to 16,100 subscribers now, they will have the notification that something happens, boom, we go on the air. So it's just like anything else. It's breaking news too. Then that'll get podcasted after.
Yep.
And then people will be able to see it. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So you have the immediacy of radio and everything else on YouTube because all you need is the notification button.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, I got on my phone. Oh, it's going to talk about the Bradley Chubb trade. Okay, let's check it out.
There you go.
So that's kind of what it's all about. It's just a matter of, the problem is that a lot of like the gentleman just walked by that lives in an older world and not used to the digital world. Well, you also have a group of people in radio that are trying to be ignorant about what's going on, and they don't see what's going on, that business is dying, and they keep trying to justify it by saying, well, anybody can podcast, but not everybody can be on radio. Well, if you listen to enough radio, you'll hear a lot of people that aren't supposed to be on radio. Okay? Let's be honest now. A lot of people that can't do the job and bring nothing to the table, and they're only there because they know somebody, a friend got them, a family member, or some crap like that, and that's why they got the job there. Or they're willing to kiss ass and, do all that kind of stuff. So, to me, it's just kind of we're in a crossroad.
Right.
It's kind of like this, that eventually this, in 3 to 5 years, will be mass adoption. They're going to be coming here, and they're going to be paying their bill in crypto. And you'll be paying over there, you're building the bar at crypto. And that's just the way it's going to be. You don't know that yet because you're kind of fighting it because it's so intimidating. And so is platforms. And so is the digital stuff.
Yeah.
It's intimidating because you're so used to the channel surfing.
Yeah.
The radio. And then that's all changed. You're no longer channel surfing. You're now going to Prime. You're not going to Netflix. You're now going to Hulu. You're not turning on your TV and click.
Yeah. It's like my kids, they watch TV way different than I do now. It's literally everything's on demand. Oh, I want to watch this now. It's not live. You know, you can watch it whenever you want to. And I mean, I don't have cable anymore. I have a Fire Stick. I could watch what I want whenever I want. So it's a lot. Like, I just wanted your opinion on it because you've been on both sides. And it was a conversation that we had, and I wanted to ask you about it. So
2 years ago, I was like, I was dying to get fired. I'm serious. I think it's been 2.5 years now. And I was just like, because I knew where we were going.
Yeah.
Because I saw it and I said, what am I doing here? Why am I allowing these idiots to control my money and control my content?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I have the sponsors anyways. I have all the relationships. Yeah. We have the base. I can just do this by myself. I don't need these idiots. There's something called YouTube, and there's Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes. And I said, why am I going to do anything with these people? I'm working for them. I'm breaking news for them. They're taking my money from my sponsors. They don't bring in the sponsors. I bring in the sponsors. Sponsors are there for me, not for them. So what am I doing here? and it was like, so you kind of like you're dying to get the hell out. And as I've told the story before, the HR guy always looked at me and said, "You're the first guy I've ever seen smiling while getting fired." And I go because I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going, And so
we're glad you made the switch, man.
That's right. That's right. But was QAM at the Vegas Summer League? No. Oh, I'm sorry. Was QAM at the NFL Draft? No. Does QAM have a house already rented in Phoenix, Arizona for the week of the Super Bowl? No, I doubt that. You know what I mean? That's so that's the other thing. Are they going to be at the Senior Bowl, the Combine? No, they're not. We are. But that's why we're doing this, because we want to do a real platform for
I can't wait for that. I
real
hope you have me around for that.
fans. Yeah, you're gonna be around as long as you want to be around.
Oh man.
But we want to create a real platform for South Florida sports fans. That's why we have all the insiders. That's why Gabby comes on. That's why Manny comes on. That's why Omar comes on. That's why Ira comes on. That's why Ian Rappaport comes on. That's why we have fantasy guys like Andy Behrens and Scott Pianowski. That's the idea. Give you guys what you deserve, because you're not going to get it on local radio. You're going to get the politics. That's the game I never played. That's where I clashed heads a lot with them, because I wasn't going to kiss the team's ass just because they wanted me to kiss the team's ass.
So thank you for that, Sean. Sean just showed me a tweet. Who was the tweet from, Sean?
They were saying in the chat.
They were saying in the chat, but yeah, I guess, and I'm sorry, I guess I didn't catch that, but Zach Pyron is taking first-team snaps on the field right now at Bobby Dodd Stadium. On the season, Zach has thrown 60 passes, completed 37 of them for a grand total of, drumroll please, 451 yards on the season, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack. Boom.
By the way, Chad says, my pops is 62 and does not understand how to get to a podcast. Did not realize Big O has been on for 2 years on YouTube, how to show him how to get Big O live. Yeah, you see? And that's it. And that's normal. It's normal. Yeah, I mean, people my age, bro, they're intimidated by crypto. Crypto's more of a younger thing. They're the ones that get more adjusted to it quickly.
I'm going to be honest with you. I know diddly about crypto. I'm going to have to lean on you about that.
Most people, man.
But
most people.
I just, I pay with my phone. That's the most I.
And speaking of crypto, Leon Fresco, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says, true or false, SBF, is he going to jail? And he's talking about Sam Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX. If they can catch him, yes, he's going to jail. He broke every law possible. He embezzled, stole, he did everything, lied. It was disgusting at every level. Plus, he's got terrible hair. He should go to jail just for his haircut. So, yes, definitely. So we got that. What else do we have? Len Morris says, damn, everybody trying the University of Miami Hurricanes. Big O, you may need a landscape consultant on staff for Phoenix. The property that we're on, it's like their yard is like, it is all just like rocks and dirt, like Phoenix type of stuff. What else do we have here? Adam Lichtenstein, Georgia Tech making the Hurricanes feel at home. Bobby Dodd Stadium is playing a cover version of In the Air Tonight. Wow.
I think they're mocking the Canes.
Sure.
That's what that is.
For sure.
That's what that
Think
is.
about that. Think about how sorry the Canes are that Georgia Tech is mocking you, bro. Like, normally they would never do that. They would never do that because Jimmy Johnson would run up the score on their ass. Dennis Erickson would run up the score on their ass. But because Miami is Miami now, that they're, that Georgia Tech can go out and play In the Air tonight and make fun of them.
But you want to know what, get your licks in now. Get your licks in now, Georgia Tech, FSU. Get them in now because there's going to be – look, I think it's very simple, and I think that if you know anything about anything, you know that Mario not only knows how to build a team, but look who he's learned from. Yes, Saban, but you want to know why I like his tutelage under Butch as much, maybe even better than his tutelage under Saban, who I get it. He won a national championship under as an offensive coordinator in 2015. But Mario was under Butch when Butch was building the best team of all time. Mario recruited for that team, okay? God knows how big an influence Mario had in the living rooms of the guys that were being recruited, okay? That means as much or more than being an offensive coordinator / assistant coach that Nick Saban trusted you to run an offensive line that blocked for Derrick Henry, maybe the best running back right now in the NFL. He trusted you with that, and then you helped build the greatest team of all time under Butch. Listen, and Mario makes no bones about getting guys around him that are smarter than him. Look at Kevin Steele. The guy's a dinosaur and a godfather. He's seen every type of offense that there is. I think that he's making these guys are making him look bad for several reasons. But listen, I'm going to take the opinion and the resumes over guys that have been there and done it. Because, again, look at Dan Enos in Maryland right now, having a very good season, calling plays for them. Look at Blake Baker, the much maligned Blake Baker, okay, that nobody wanted him around this program. I bet you take a top 10 defense right now because that's what he's doing at Missouri in the SEC. So it's just, again, it's a battle. It's a horse before the carriage type of battle. Which one's first, chicken or the egg, like player or coach, okay? And that could be debated. I'm here to discuss that, not here to discuss that. But my point is, if you don't think Mario can get it done, and to me, like a lot that O believes, year 3 is the magic number because there's going to be this much maybe improvement in year 2 because there's still going to be a roster turnover. Who knows what the situation is going to be offensive and defensive coordinator wise, but I do think there's going to be more of Mario's players in the system. Who's making plays now? The guys that Mario had a hand in picking, the Kobe Youngs, the Mesidors, okay, the Henry Parishes. Those are the guys, and there's going to be double that, maybe triple that next year. Wait till year 3, guys. Just when nobody wants to hear wait, but you have no choice.
Brian Kelly and his family are leading LSU's leading Arkansas 13-10 with 2 minutes left. LSU and his family looking to improve to 8-2 now.
You want to know what, I still have them not winning 10 games in the Brian Kelly regime. I don't see it.
I actually, considering how they started, they've done a really good job of
100%. Yeah, they're not the team.
And
if they played FSU right now,
they
they'd win.
a Brian Kelly fan because the guy looks like a complete jackass.
Yeah.
But you got to be objective.
Oh, I get it. No, he's 7-2.
7-2. Hey man, the shit I'm about to watch at 3:30. I'd rather watch LSU every day. And by the way, they are in the SEC too.
They are.
They're 7-2 in the SEC. They're 8-2. Pretty soon here, they'll be 8-2. What I would give to be 8-2.
Listen, man. And if they play FSU right now, a team that they lost to early in their season, I think they beat FSU by 2 scores.
Yeah.
Right now. If they were to play right now, I don't think that same team loses to FSU. if they were to play. But yeah, 13-10 with a $1:55 to go. LSU with the ball. Yeah, with 2nd and 15. So we'll see if the Razorbacks can make a stop here. But LSU is driving. With a $1:55 to go.
See, it took Jimmy a couple of years to win a championship, even with a stacked roster. Well, his first year, he had that rough year, and it was 8-5, which is a lot better than what they have right now. But there was that Maryland loss, and then after, obviously, it got back on track. And people wanted to fire. You're old enough to remember this. After that 8-5 year, people wanted to fire Jimmy Johnson. People did. They were not happy with Jimmy Johnson because remember that Frank Reich came back with Maryland.
Oh my God! Wasn't the score like 31 to 3 or something like that?
Yeah, it was like a stupid lead, and then they came back and won 35, 32, 31, whatever the hell it was. And it was just one of those things. It was so frustrating, obviously. It reminds me of the Miami Heat. You know how the Miami Heat blow a lead every freaking game?
The third quarter.
Yeah, the same thing. This was one of those. And people wanted Jimmy's ass after that year. Like, oh, who the hell is this guy anyway from Oklahoma State and all that?
Yeah.
You know, he hadn't really won big. And, you know, people hung in there. It was a little different, but still they hung in there.
Right.
But I remember people were unhappy with the guy.
Yeah. Oh, so what are you trying to tell me that the players had to buy in? Is that what you're saying to the new guy? They had to kind of buy into the.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. But you had better. See, the thing for Jimmy, he was lucky. He had better character players that he inherited
100%
from Schnellenberger.
100%.
So that's where that changes, unfortunately. Just like when it's just the problem is that you've had one coach after another for many years now, and it's just a polluted program. Listen. Here's the best part about it going to shit now, right? Mario now is put into a corner. He's got to come out of that corner fighting next year. Desperation will set in for that staff. He's going to have to fix some stuff. Maybe he, as you're listening, it sounds like maybe some changes could be coming. And next year, there's going to be already desperation going in there. So they'll be forced to show up and give you something different than what you saw last year. Like they know. Mario knows this town. They will turn. They're already turning on him as it is.
Exactly.
Okay. They turned on him in the 6th quarter of this year. Not the second game, the 6th quarter of this year.
Yep.
They turned on him. They were already booing him. So he knows this town. If he screws up next year, then he knows that his existence is going to be miserable here, even if he lasts for a few more years, because obviously they gave him a 10-year contract. They're not firing anybody 2 or 3 years in and swallowing 7. They're not doing that. So he's going to be here for a while. Now, it's up to him if he wants to be here and enjoy himself. Have you watched those press conferences?
Not enjoying himself.
Oh, my God. He hates
and
those
I love
press
it.
conferences.
I love that he's pissed. He cares. I think he's the perfect guy for this job, man.
Yeah, you're right. I just feel bad. But I feel bad.
And you can't make the kids care. That's why they got to get the hell out of here. Yeah, Sean said you got to make the kids care, and that's again. If I have to hype
you got to draft kids that care.
You got. Thank you.
Or recruit. I'm sorry, kids.
That's what it is. It's hard to get. Let me tell you, and I don't care if I'm in the minority in this one. I don't believe I am, but to me, it's not a coach's job to get your players mentally prepared for a game. If I have to tell you that FSU's coming into your house for homecoming, if I have to tell you how important that game is, and if I have to verbally say something that's going to hype you up, then you got to get the hell out of Miami. You got to get the hell out of Dodge, because you should know about that game before the schedule comes out. Because as a matter of fact, you should know about that game when you sign your name on the dotted line on National Signing Day, okay? Your National Letter of Intent, NLI, not NIL. I was almost said NIL. Where everything's NIL nowadays, but 100%. And so you can't have that. You need guys, and he says this all the time, that love football, that don't need to be told, go get some extra reps in.
Right. Listen, it's like a teacher. A teacher's in a classroom. You're going to have the kids that want to learn, and then you're going to have the kids that are just going to screw off.
Yeah.
And they're going to be on their phones, or they're going to be high, or they're going to be skipping, or they're just trying to hit on the babe in the classroom or whatever. And to reach a certain group of individuals, and that's That's it. You can't do anything about that. And I think the Canes have a lot of that.
Shouts out to Michelle Pfeiffer, Dangerous Minds. You remember that movie?
Of course.
Substitute, was it no, she wasn't a substitute.
We just lost
the new teacher.
We just lost Coolio.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to I was thinking about that. That was the first thing I was going to say. But Mario's the substitute teacher in Dangerous Minds. He's Michelle Pfeiffer. He's got to let these students, you made a good correlation, substitute teacher, whatever teacher, it's the same thing. Yeah. And I hate this conversation, but it is what it is.
It's Jim Belushi in The Principal.
Arkansas with the ball back.
There's some kids that you can straighten out in the school, and then there were some kids you had to, you couldn't reach and you had to kick out. And Jim Belushi had to take over with Louis Gossett Jr. in that high school. He's the principal, man. I probably lost a bunch of you on that one, didn't I? Most of you had no idea what the hell I'm talking about. It's all right. Ray Dong Chung, by the way, hot. All right, you want to get in on the Welt and Rayom text line? It's really simple, 855-912-1056. That is your 24-hour talk show like our Twitter page is at Big O Show. We got the game at 3:30, so we are minutes away from the start of this game. We are hoping we can get something entertaining to watch. What will be entertaining is all the gifts that we are going to be handing out here for the next 4 quarters during the game. So even if you're bored during the game, you can have the great food, the comfortable atmosphere of walk-ons, and a chance to win some prizes with us here at Walk-Ons all afternoon. Sean Stanley, of course, the man that masters the entire platform every single day. Sean Stanley, sir. Georgia Tech favored by 1.5. Over and under is 44. What is your prediction? Who wins? Georgia Tech wins 3-0 in overtime.
Which overtime? The first one?
So first one. So it goes to 0-0 to the regulation, and then that's it.
Sean.
You got it. 0-0 score. Go to overtime, and that's great for Sean that he picks. Yeah, no, and it's great for Sean that he wants to pick this game to go into overtime. Torture me more. Give me a 5th quarter of this shit. Anyway, so he's got a 0-0 tie, and then Georgia Tech winning in overtime 3-0. Mike McCoy, Georgia Tech favored by 1.5. Over and under is 44 points. What say you? What happens in this game?
Georgia Tech. I'm gonna have Georgia Tech winning. I'm gonna have them scoring in the 20s. I'm gonna have Miami struggling to get to 20. I think Miami loses by at least 10. By at least 10 points. So I'll say Georgia Tech 27. And I'm struggling with Miami seeing 17 points. I really am.
Okay.
I really am.
All right. I definitely have Georgia Tech here. Lay the 1.5. I think they'll win easily by a touchdown. I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I like the under 44.
The under, yes.
I like Georgia Tech laying 1.5. And I'm going to go with a final score of 13-6.
Wow. Okay.
13-6. This is going to be an ugly-ass game. You're going to need cocaine, Coke, all kinds of energy drink, anything that can pick you up. All right? Whatever you use to pick you up, coffee, Cuban coffee, whatever it is. What do we got? So Chad's going 24-17 Georgia Tech.
I think this is the game. I think this is a game where Georgia Tech's offense looks like a juggernaut. I don't have faith in Miami's defense. Not after what I saw last week, man. I just don't.
Yep. Rosendo says just checked out that QAM and Zaslow is on YouTube. Yes, Zaslow is on YouTube. I actually met with Zaslow this week. Hung out with him a little bit. Rob Dukes was at walk-ons on Kendall last week. Was not bad, like the Gator Bites. Yeah, the Gator Bites are really good, bro. I love the Gator Bites.
Shout out to Steven Gonzalez. What's up, man?
Never heard of Fenway Bowl. What the hell is Fenway Bowl? Military Bowl and Gasparilla Bowl. In the Fenway Park? They play a bowl in Fenway Park?
Yeah.
And it's called
Miami
Fenway Bowl or Fenway
Park? No,
Park?
they played in the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, that's for Yankee Stadium. I didn't know there's also a bowl game at Fenway Park.
What is it called?
It's such a small field that they can fit a football field.
They can retrofit that stadium for a football? I mean, wow.
Really?
Okay.
Fenway Park? No way. No way they've got a game at Fenway Park.
Let me see. Fenway.
What's it called?
It's called the Fenway Bowl.
The Fenway Bowl?
Wow.
Okay.
Jesus Christmas.
Fenway Bowl. Who's playing there? Pearl Jam? Is it like a real game?
December 17th.
Is it really a game or is it a concert called the Fenway Bowl?
December 17th. Maybe that's the bowl Miami goes to if they win 2 games.
Pearl Jam was there last year, dude.
Pearl Jam?
Yeah, Fenway. That would have been a cool.
The answer is probably yes, but I'm going to ask you anyway. And you know what? The headset that you're wearing right now answers my question.
Iron Maiden?
I was going to ask you if you've seen them in person, but how many times have you seen Iron Maiden? Because I want to see them perform Fear of the Dark so bad.
Oh, wow.
I want to see them perform
I just saw them do Fear of the Dark.
Really?
Yeah, they were just in Tampa.
They were in Tampa?
I was.
I
went 2 weeks ago to see them in Tampa.
Epic, track to watch them
I don't know
perform.
how many, but it's probably in the 40 range.
Wow.
30.
Oh,
I've seen, because I see them multiple times on every tour since I was a kid. So, yeah.
Wow.
Because I always see all the tours in the state. I've gone to Los Angeles to see him a couple times. So I've also traveled to
and which one of them is the pilot? The drummer, right?
The singer. Bruce
the singer,
Dickinson.
Okay.
Now, from what I understand, he's no longer piloting.
Oh, really?
He started that, and that's where they did the whole film and all that stuff.
Oh.
So I think they literally have a pilot now to fly.
Pretty cool.
To fly Ed Force One.
Ed Force One? I didn't know
that.
Yeah,
because the name of the Iron Maiden is called Eddie.
Oh, right.
So Ed Force One
That's
instead
clever.
of.
I don't know that was the name of the plane.
Right, that's the name of the plane. Ed Force One. So there you go. ACC versus American Athletic Conference, like UCF, can play each team at Military, Fenway, and Gasparilla Bowls. Exciting.
Really quick before we get off.
Yes.
Just so people are aware, really quick look around the ACC, the games that have been played.
Yes.
Final Pittsburgh 37, Virginia 7. Was that today or was that Friday or whatever?
No, it's today.
That's today. Duke 24, Virginia Tech 7.
Right.
FSU is at Cuse. North Carolina is at Wake Forest. 7:30 and 8 o'clock kickoffs there. Boston College at number 16, NC State on ACC Network. Louisville at Clemson. I think that's going to be a better game than most people think. Clemson now ranked 10th in the country. And then, of course, Miami in 2 minutes.
I like the Cunningham kid from Louisville.
Yes,
he's a playmaker.
like
Manny Navarro tweets out, turnover margin entering Miami Georgia Tech game today. Yellow Jackets plus 15. Number 2 in the FBS. Hurricanes -7. Tied for 114th in the FBS. That's a storyline. 2 freshman QBs, too. Yeah. Maybe the over is also on turnovers.
You know what? Maybe we might see a high-scoring game. Oh.
Yeah. We thank Gabby Arrudia for joining us. Sean Stanley, of course, the man that masters it all. My co-host in crime here, Mike McCoy, getting it done. I'm Orlando Alzugaray. We'll be back for the post-game show, all right, for our Edge Energy Drink or myedgedrink.com Miami Hurricanes post-game show. The second the clock ticks 0, we start here on the show. So come on back to the platform. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you know whenever we're on for breaking news, a show, pregame, postgame. You know exactly on your phone when it goes on when you have that notification bell. And don't forget to also subscribe. We'll see you postgame. We'll see what happens. Go Canes.
This has been the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show, live from Walk-On Sports Bistro in Kendall on the Sports Talk 305 Network. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shobe. Visit Walk-On Sports Bistro in Kendall at 9065 Southwest 162nd Avenue. Enjoy Walk-On's authentic and mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine prepared fresh from scratch. Closes daily at midnight, 7 days a week. Please subscribe to our platform by searching Big O Radio Show on all digital avenues. We'll be back with a complete wrap-up of the game once the last second ticks off the clock. Thank you for your support and enjoy Hurricanes football.